Hi there, welcome along to Sporting Lives. It's 2021 at last. Thanks for joining me, Jonathan Doidge, to have a look back at the life of another sporting legend. Before we introduce her, just to let you know what's coming up in the next few weeks, Richard Pittman, jump jockey and racing legend, will be on the podcast, as will Leeds Rhinos member of the Golden Generation, Danny Maguire. Plenty more plans in the pipeline as well to come in the coming months. So please do hit the subscribe button if you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're listening to it on Podbean or any of the other podcast forums that it's on. And please do hit subscribe. Free, of course, for accessing all the content, but you will just get a little nod as soon as it goes on there, and you can go and have a watch or have a listen. And many thanks for your support. Those subscriptions do mean a lot in terms of being able to continue to generate this content for free. Advert done. Let's get on then with the first podcast of 2021. And my pleasure to speak to a lady who's made over 240 international appearances for the England women's cricket team, a world champion on several counts, MBE as well back in 2014, and the first male or female in the history of cricket to make it to 100 T20 internationals. That is some CV. I was delighted to speak to Jenny Gunn and first asked her about her immediate plans and a return to cricket in 2021, once again with the Northern Diamonds.
Yes, I've just signed for Northern Diamonds, so it's my first winter training for a long time. So indoor training is not one thing I really enjoy, just bowling indoors. But it's I'm look forward to the season, and it just shows how I enjoyed last season, which meant they actually managed to get me back.
How do you manage then on a motivation basis? Because, you know, as you say, not winter training very often. That's because you've presumably been trekking around the world, playing for England, doing the job itself on the road in lovely sunshine, while we've been stuck here in the snow like it is today. So how do you manage to sort of motivate yourself at this age, having retired, to go through all that to play again?
Yeah, I mean, I've been really lucky playing abroad, and this is my first winter in a long time. But last year I was in Australia this time, and my club side over there, Sydney, got me out of retirement because I was coaching over there. So they said, we're short. Guilt tripped me in, which I think most people would know. I struggle to say no to help people out. So rocked up and started playing, and then literally I was with them for the entire season before the pandemic started, and I came back. It's when you want to be around family. So if I hadn't played in Australia last season in the winter, no chance would I've played last summer. But because I kept fit and I'd been playing, I thought, no, I can still hold my own, and like I say, I really enjoyed it. But it's actually probably a bit of an escape at the moment with everything that's going on. We can train still, and I'm actually enjoying the running. I fell down a hill the other day though, which wasn't great. I did a Klingsman down a hill and came back in mud, which wasn't great. But I've actually enjoyed keeping fit. So it's kind of hopefully a light at the end of a tunnel that all the fitness is going to come through. So hopefully at the start of the season I'll be ready to go.
And how strange was that situation? I know I was travelling around following the Yorkshire Fellows play last summer, but how strange was it for you from a playing perspective, going through all those protocols and having so much of a sideshow, if you like, in addition to what you were trying to achieve on the field?
Yeah, I mean, you do everything you can so you can actually play. It was quite weird, hand sanitising every 6 overs, and but it's just what you have to do. And I think some of our spinners really struggled to grip the ball to start with, but then it's just like you sanitise your hands, and then they're rubbing their hands in the dirt and all this, trying to get them dirty again to grip the ball. But like I say, it was just things we had to do to be able to play cricket, and hopefully it won't be like that this season, but you just never know. So we'll just have to see.
I imagine you probably a dream to work with then, if you are somebody who finds it difficult to say no, because there'll be a way of managing to get you to do things. But also, you know, this massive amount of experience you've got at the very highest level, all the trophies, the MBE, all the rest of it, that we will talk about. You know, for somebody like Danny Hazel to be able to draw upon that with her squad at the moment, do you see yourself as sort of the mentor in that squad?
Maybe a little bit. I guess we're lucky with Danny Hazel herself and our assistant Courtney Hill, who had experience playing state cricket in Australia. So I think even if anybody ever got injured, we've got two people on the sideline who's ready to come in as well. So I think we've got a really good mix of different experiences as well, especially with Seam overseas and Danny Hazel with spin. So yeah, any way I can help, I'm really want to. But also I'm still learning. I'm 34, but I don't feel that old. I think that's from all the fitness we do, and you look after your bodies. And I don't feel old. I feel I can still compete, and I'm still enjoying my cricket. So I'm still learning, and I want to learn. And I think that's why I said yes, because I haven't achieved everything. I still want to win with Northern Diamonds, and we were close last year, but hopefully this year we can go one step further and push for that trophy.
Do you find is it getting more difficult fitness wise to maintain the same level with age? He said, speaking from personal experience.
It's weird. It's actually weird. I don't feel it really tough. I mean, I do a lot of bike work, so probably less running, but I still try and compete with the youngsters with the speed and things. And we're doing a speed program at the moment, so I still want to get quicker. And if I can, by changing my technique to be more powerful and actually probably have a better technique, because it's dreadful, I'm more willing to try. It doesn't matter about your age. I just want to try and get better. And I guess lockdown probably helped in that, because I just sat on my bike, and because my dog got fed up of being walked, it was either dog walk or go on my bike. So it did help, I think, fitness, and then it just probably made me more robust to actually start running again. So fingers crossed. At the moment, it's okay, and I'm enjoying it.
Now, talking of being robust, I'm guessing some of your early cricketing experiences would have involved playing in matches against lads or fellas. I certainly remember playing in local leagues up in the Leeds area, where there were one or two of the girls playing, and I can remember some of the comments that were made at the time. Did that help you become more robust, not only as a physical cricketer, if you like, but sort of mentally as well?
Oh yeah, massively. I played men's cricket. Not if I sort of skipped boys. I just went straight to men's cricket, just filling in with my dad and my uncle and my brother, really. But it does make you tougher. You know, you can't bowl it there. You know, you can't. But you just have to hold your own. Once you prove you hold your own, that's it. I've got some really close friends from playing, and still see people now who I played with years ago. So it definitely makes you tougher, and I think that's probably why I got to the level I got playing international cricket, from the early experience I had with the men's cricket.
In terms of respect for the women's game, I mean, I don't know what your opinion is on the respect of the women's game, but maybe you want to give us that. And I'm just thinking at the same time, that 2005 Ashes win that really sort of started the ball rolling towards all those World Cups and World Championships and all the rest of it. Was that the sort of catalyst for a greater respect for what the girls can achieve on the field and do?
Yeah, definitely. 2005 definitely changed things. I think it helped with the men winning as well. So a double Ashes win, obviously anything against Australia is amazing. So yeah, it was a start, but you're always going to have people not liking women's cricket. They think it's slow and all this, and people just want to have their opinion, which they're entitled to, but they don't have to watch it if they don't want to. But it makes me laugh when people choose to watch it and then slag you off. It's like, you've just done that, gone out your way to do that. But it is changing. There's a lot more, not just girls involved now. There's a lot of boys watching girls cricket as well. So it's just a great family sport, and I think 2005 was good, but I think the 2009 probably helped as well, winning the World Cups. That really kicked us on to being taken more seriously, and probably put us more in a professional era without getting paid. But we really kicked on with our training in that era, and I think it showed with our results going forward.
2009, obviously, I know you were at the crease when Claire Taylor hit the winning runs in the T20. The 50 over competition, I mean, that must have been a real gut wrencher in terms of things that you got to overcome in your career and come back from. Missing out on a World Cup final on the day. It's an amazingly professional decision from you to decide that you don't feel quite right. But how tough was that?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, like you say, on the day as well. I woke up in the morning feeling, yeah, no, it's okay. So it was my calf, and I thought, no, I'll be all right. But then my fitness test in the morning, I just knew I wouldn't be able to get through 10 overs and do all the fielding and batting. I just couldn't let the team down. That'd be the worst thing if I did something and couldn't do my job. So yeah, it was tough, but one of my close mates, Nicky Shaw, came in and got player of the match, so it wasn't all bad, and it was just nice to win, and to win like I said before, anything in Australia, in their backyard. I think it even made it even more special, and yeah, come at the end of the day, it didn't really matter if I played or not. It was just still nice to be part of that team.
And is that feeling the same in women's cricket? Is in not just men's cricket, but other sports as well, where England play against Australia? I mean, is it heightened when you are, walking across that white line wearing the England kit?
Yeah, I think it is. It's just we always have a dislike for each other on the field, and I mean, at one time I was playing state cricket over there, and 8 of the current Australians were my teammates. So it's one of those. Off the field, you can go and have a drink with them and stuff, but on the field, you just take no prisoners, and they're never shy of a word or two. But you just know, as long as you leave it on the field, it doesn't matter.
Which leads me to another question, really, for you. Having played there both internationally for England and then domestically within the Australian competition, and we know that the Aussies, sad to say, are probably still arguably the forerunners in world women's cricket. What have you seen from, or what have you gained from those experiences in terms of where the English game is at by comparison? What does it need to do to become number one across those three disciplines?
I just think Australia, they have better pitches. They play on first grade grounds. It's just ridiculous. You can't bowl a bad ball. You can't get away with it. And I think that's what we need to play, which I think with Rachel Hayhoe Flint Trophy last year, we played on test grounds at times. So that's the next step, because I think for non-England players to play on better grounds, they'll know what they need to work on. But also the training, the fitness, they're ahead. They can be outside constantly with the weather. I think obviously we're not going to be able to do that, but the more people we have in contracts, the better, because they have, I think, 30 contracts. No, each team has a contract for the Women's Big Bash, and so they don't have to work. So I think that's the next step, but we're getting there, just slightly slower, but I think we will compete.
How much did that change your own career? Getting this, being part of that group that got the first central contracts, having been working girl before that, and doing the whole the full Monty on the cricket field. I mean, what were the benefits?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't know any different. We were working all week, training after and before work, and I guess that's what the Aussies were doing as well. They'd get up early, like 5:30 in the morning, to do fitness, go to work, and come back and train. And it's just, you just want to do it because you enjoy cricket, and that's what you want to be. So when we did get a contract, it was nice, because it's like all the hard work sort of started to pay off, and it was nice just to focus on your cricket and your fitness, and you found out you actually did have a bit more time in your days and stuff. But I think sometimes the new crop of players, just hopefully to remember what we went before them, because I think that's what we always remembered. Like people before, like my time, they didn't get paid or anything. They just did it for the enjoyment and the hard work, whereas a lot is thrown at them now. So it'll be interesting going forward in this new professional era, because it's the youngsters now, they don't know any different. So it will be really interesting in the next 5 years how England perform.
Is the 100 going to do wonders for the women's game in terms of its reach? I guess I'm thinking in the first instance in this country.
Oh, the reach is going to be brilliant, because it's going to be on free-to-air TV, which we saw last summer with the BBC. It was good to get women's cricket, well, just on cricket on normal TV. So it'll be interesting how the 100 runs, because no one knows really. We've had a few pilot games, but it'll be interesting going forward. Personally, I would like to see 2020 on TV and not really change too much, but it's a new tournament. No one knows how it's going to go, so it's going to be interesting for all.
Yeah, and hopefully attracting a new audience. I think you're still working at Trent College at the moment, developing young players, both male and female. So what else does it need in terms of that draw the women's game in particular I'm thinking of?
I think it's just, I think on free-to-air TV is going to be massive in the coming years, just to get new people to it. Because I think we have a set of supporters and people who watch us, but it's just getting, I think you just see what it did for the women football, the reach it got out there in the Euros and the World Cups and stuff, and they're household names now. So I think just allowing more people to see cricket, and it's not boring. It's a sport for anybody can play, and it is really good for families. So I really do think this season coming, hopefully that cricket can be played and more people will hopefully get to experience and watch it.
Let's just think about your playing career in terms of those highlights that we always see whenever you Google the name Jenny Gunn. And we've talked about 2009 already in the 05 Ashes. What would be the ultimate for you? It may not be any of those games. It may be another match where you were in dire straits and you've managed to get out of a hole. But what's if you were focusing on one game in the Jenny Gunn illustrious career, where would you take us?
I think one of my most fun games when we were really down was in the 2017 World Cup against Australia. Me and Catherine Brunt ended up having to bat quite a long time, and the Aussies get on top of you, but actually we had a really good partnership that ended up being a winning partnership. And I think just knowing that they thought they were into the tail now of us two, but to get a really good partnership and hit a few sixes both of us, I think it just sort of rubbed salt into the wounds as well. So again, Australia, but that was one of the games, and I always remember because my sister, who hates cricket, came all the way down to Bristol with my nephew, who was only young at the time, and it was a sellout crowd, but all I could hear was him shouting "N" because he couldn't say my name at the time, and over the crowd I could still hear him and see him from a boundary, and that just sticks in my head, and I think probably relaxed me in such a big game.
Fantastic, and of course we'll never forget the final. I can remember where I was, and people I'm sure will be able to go back in a couple of decades and say I was there when I watched the final. I was in a hotel with my kids on holiday watching the 2017 final at Lord's, actually not in a working capacity for that one.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget those closing stages in particular, and the way, obviously we know Anya's performance with the ball was fantastic, but it was the way that you collectively worked on the opposition. It's almost like you kind of ground them down, put the frighteners on them, made them make mistakes as that game went on. And there was a little bit of a wobble near the end as well, wasn't there, Jenny?
Yeah, I shouldn't play in World Cup final, should I really? It says it all. But no, like it's weird because Anya always says like she bowled awful at tournament, and it's just like it doesn't matter how you bowl if you bowl how she did at the end. But I remember dropping the catch, and she just turned straight to me and just said, "I've got this." I was like, oh, "All right," Anya. I was like, "Okay." And then next ball she bowled him out. So it just showed like she was just in the zone that day, and yeah, I would love to have put that because I felt like I had a really good tournament, and that would just capped it off, and probably would have finished my career just happy at that. But again, it's just like it's weird. I'm probably like now more known for that drop catch because especially in India, like there's like 100 million people watching, so great time to do that. But again, just happy to be on that field and win the game.
I was speaking to one of your former colleagues, somebody you worked closely with over the years, just as a little bit of prep for this podcast. And I thought, I wanted to know what makes Jenny Gunn tick without having to ask that question to you, see what other people think. So your teacher's report, shall we call it, says that you are very people orientated, a bit like a mother hen in the group with the England women's setup.
It could be anybody, yeah.
Dependable, well-mannered, as I'm finding out myself, dependable both on and off the field. You played with great consistency. Not only did you play with great consistency, but apparently just consistency runs right through your life on and off the field. And in defence of the catching thing as well, a great arm from the boundary edge, quick to the ball, so excellent in the field, Obviously, we've seen you play plenty of times with ball in hand. We know all about that. So that's not a bad little teacher's report. You've got to be quite pleased with that. Not only that, but obviously all those many wickets. In terms of what you achieved with the ball and with the bat as an all-rounder, do you feel fulfilled in both aspects of the game in that respect?
I probably wish I had like an actual game when I knew it was going to be my last game, and that would have been nice after 15 years to just sort of like walk off that field and think, yeah, I'm done. But also, I wish I had more confidence in my batting a long time ago rather than the last probably 2 or 3 years. Because that's probably frustrating knowing I could bat, and that probably, like, I mean, even though probably some of my stats show it, it's probably in my head. I didn't necessarily always believe it myself.
Was that in what sort of situations would you say then that you may have lacked confidence at times?
I think, to be fair, most of my career I just didn't probably believe I could hold a bat. Not hold a bat, but I always felt like it's hard down the order because you're either have to just hold out or go for it. So it is a challenging one, but actually see it as a challenge and actually enjoy that challenge, which towards the end, like I said, with me and Catherine's scoring runs against Australia, that was really fun because we just both top order haven't done it, so let's just try and stick around. And we did, and then it got easier, and actually you've got a lot more time than you think. So it's probably just my own head. I think you always say it. People say it's your biggest enemy, aren't you? And I think that's so true with myself at times. But now I think that's why with Northern Diamonds, I'm just enjoying my cricket, and what will be in a way.
That's a remarkably frank response, and I've got to say that is in keeping with the coach's notes I have in front of me, because I will reveal it was Paul Shaw, my commentary colleague in the BBC Radio Leeds box, who gave me that little bit of background. So he said pretty much what you just said, that you wished you had a bit more confidence in yourself when you went out, particularly in pressure situations, and that you could definitely do that when you went back to play county and did that regularly. So I've got to take my hat off to you for that self-appraisal, which ties in with what your coach says. He also suggested that I ask you about the 2013 party bus. ... So apparently, after you'd won the Ashes, the coach took a little while, didn't it, to get to the airport or something?
Oh, it went the longest way ever, because I think we were playing in Durham. We went from Southampton to Durham, as you do. But we were all in kit on this party. But it was the team bus, and we stopped off at a petrol station, got some beers, as you do. I can't believe we didn't have any, or we might have ran out, to be fair. But it was one of those you didn't mind the detours really too much. But I do remember Paul Shaw's dancing to Elvis Presley quite regularly, so I think he was in a good mood.
Barney Rubble, I call him.
Well, he's that height, isn't he?
Yeah, blonde hair, that height, yeah, and the little bum chin thing going on. Okay, well, there we go. That's the party bus of 2013. I also said to him, so where would you rank Jenny? You might think this is unfair. I'm not sure, actually, but I'm going to go through with it anyway. You can press the stop button if you want. Where would you rank Jenny? And he said, I don't want to rank anybody in terms of numbers, but he said, I'll tell you what, in the history of English women's cricket, you have the Greenways, the Blunts, the Edwardses, the Knights, and the Taylors, and Gunn would be in that half dozen every time one of the first names on the team sheet, which I think your record would underline. And you mentioned the Rachel Hayhoe Flint Trophy a few minutes ago as probably the ultimate inspiration for the English women's game, I guess. Rachel, great that she was honoured in that way, and sort of also very sad that she just missed out on seeing you lift that 2017 World Cup.
Yeah, it's like, I think we all said it. We felt she was there with us, and it was really good. Her son rang the bell on that day, and the family to be part of it. But I still remember, myself and Georgia Elvis went to her funeral, and God, you could tell she wrote her funeral. There was laughs. Like, I've never laughed so much at a funeral. And it was like she was there speaking, and she's just such a truly amazing lady, and one I was just so great to actually meet and get advice on. And yeah, it would have been so nice for her to have seen us lift it, but we were there because of her and all the people who went before us. So it was so nice just to lift it.
Cricket and hockey legend, of course, Rachel. And I remember, when I was, this is a long time ago, when I was at primary school, seeing her on books about women's cricket, probably the book about women's cricket at the time, because there weren't that many girls playing the game. If you could go back, through your career, if you like, and change anything, what would that be?
It's probably a weird one. I might probably try and play football.
And grab the cricket altogether.
Yeah, it's so weird. I can't play. I always wanted to play football for England, and I never got the chance to go to England trials because I had cricket, and that's one regret I've always lived with, to not know if I would ever make it. And some of my friends who I played football with went on to play for England, so just my one regret is not going to them trials. But I can't complain because I've had a good career.
Yeah, I wouldn't complain too much, but you clearly had that sort of in the genes as well, and your own talent, I'm sure, that you brought to it. And probably a good time to touch back on your dad for a moment. I remember that Notts Forest side very well as a young lad growing up. I was Leeds United fan, of course, being a Leeds lad myself, but some great battles with Forest in those late 70s, early 80s. And Bryn, don't think he played in 79, did he, when Trevor Francis scored? But certainly played against Hamburg in 1980. I remember that well. Did you get to go watch much of that when you were growing up, meet Cloughie and all those sort of things?
No, I've seen videos, and they're all close. They're a really close team now, so they all still speak and things, and they all used to play cricket, so they were all keen in the summer playing. So it's quite surreal at times speaking to these people who like Viv Anderson and people who like played for England, and it's just like I still get starstruck, and they're just so down to earth. And they're just like, they just want to talk about my cricket and how well I do. It's like, well, yeah, but you did this and stuff. But I've just been on a dog walk with mum and dad. It was quite funny because walked past my old primary school, and we did it was dads versus, well, sons, but it was daughters as well at cricket, and we had mums versus daughters at football. And mum says, oh yeah, remember when I ran in from the halfway line and struck it and broke the crossbar? And I was like, yeah, mum. She's like, yeah, that's where you get your football skills from, not your dad. I was like, yes, all right, mum. So they're fighting all the time about where the skills came from, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely from my dad, not from my mum. But there's just so many stories about like Brian Clough and what we hear, and there doesn't seem to me never a dull moment, and a bit different to football nowadays, because I think back then if a manager said do this, literally you would do it straight away and you wouldn't argue, whereas now I think the players run it a bit more, a lot more money involved. I might be driving around in a Lamborghini if Dad was playing nowadays, but no, I don't. He wouldn't change anything, and I think that sums up how I played my cricket as well, how my dad played football, and we wouldn't change it because we both had good careers in our time frame.
And you wouldn't. I'm asking you if you saw much of that, but of course, thinking about when you were born, was he still playing by the time you were old enough to remember? Had he retired by then?
Yeah, so he played for Forest for 10 years, which I couldn't believe he played for 10 years. So he was sort of, I mean, I was just born. I still remember there's a picture with mum and dad in front of a Christmas tree with my sister in a Forest programme, which is quite funny. We're taking the mickey out of her, but it was more the lower league. So he went on to play like Shrewsbury, Peterborough, and Chesterfield. He played with Sean Dyche, the current Burnley manager, and he just still rings every now and then and talks. I was like, as if you know a Premiership like manager and things, but they're just so down to earth, old school era. Just like one of the lads and things. So it is quite interesting seeing some of the videos with all challenges, tackles flying in where you don't get booked or anything, and like there's like bones hanging on from everywhere. But it's quite good to watch.
I think people of my generation call that proper football.
Yeah,
Um,
no grass on the pitch.
yeah, oh yeah, they're terrible back in those days. You see anything from sort of Old Trafford, particularly, that was just like a strip of mud with a little couple of blades of grass down the wings. Um, you mentioned Lamborghinis and the rest of it, and that sort of leads me to think. Well, I'm asking you about to look back on your career. If you could reset it, if you like, to start a couple of years ago, so you were just breaking through again now, the financial rewards, who knows, may become greater with television rights and sponsorship in the next 10, 15 years. Would you rather reset in that respect?
Well, I mean, I've liked my era. I love that I've played over pretty different eras. Like when we didn't get paid, just getting paid, and now it's like probably really professional. So I've probably gone through three different phases, which I've really enjoyed. And the friends I've made, I think I wouldn't take anything back really. And yeah, money's great, but I'd rather like have the 3 World Cups we've won, and probably don't probably want to be a bowler going into how batters are nowadays. So I think I'll just park that there and leave that. So I'd be happy.
Okay, you're picking a women's team that needs to win to save your life.
Mm.
I'm not going to ask you to go through the full 11 because I'm dropping you on the spot there, but who would be the one pick, the first pick, and why?
In what format is it, please?
Oh, well, I suppose given that you played more ODIs than anything, we'll go with that. But you can give us an ODI and a T20, I think.
Well, I think if I was going to say Heather Knight would be definitely up there.
And why?
Just a great leader. Just how she bats as well. She just knows her game inside out, and she's known that from a very early age. But she's developed from a little moon phase ball when she turned up in Mumbai to her first ODI from Freshers Week to a true leader and one that will, I think, could lead any team anywhere.
So that's ODIs. T20s different?
I'd probably have her in both. I'd probably pick her in every single format. Yeah, to say she had a hamstring hanging off a bone, was struggling to do like running and things, to how hard she works. I think I don't think anybody would not pick her in a team.
About the hopping around the various teams as well over the years. You know, you put a Yorkshire, Notts, obviously, home county, Warwickshire, the trips abroad. Is that just in the moment that it's the best thing for you at any given time, or are you a bit restless in that respect?
No, so Notts got relegated, and I just thought if I want to keep in the England side, I need to be playing the best cricket. So left to go to Yorkshire for one season really, and I actually enjoyed it, but it was just a bit too far to travel really on a Sunday morning. Even though I'm up early, it was just a bit too far. And then went to Warwickshire and really enjoyed Warwickshire because it's actually it worked out nearer than my home ground in Notts at one point, because we were playing out in Newark and it was miles away. So, but really enjoyed Warwickshire, and I was a bit gutted that they chose not to sign me literally 2 weeks before the season, because I really felt that we were getting somewhere. And so, yeah, really gutted to miss out on some of the girls' development, because they've got a really exciting squad, and coming probably next few years, I think they'll start pushing.
And talking of young players, I mean, you know, who would you, now that you've put the international game into the past, if you like, who have you seen in the last 2-3 years that maybe people might not yet have fully heard of through watching the television broadcast and all the rest of it, that we might be seeing as sort of England superstars coming up in the next generation?
Yeah, I think as well, though, people with Rachel Hay Flint Trophy, I don't think they should write off some of the older ones either. I think this gives people another chance, and I think, yeah, it's good for the youngsters to like experience this level, but actually hopefully it will give the people who are 27, 28, maybe slightly older, the chance to really call for another England go, because Beth Langston, who we have for Northern Diamonds, bowled quick and accurately, and she's probably quicker than most of the England girls. So why not give her a go if she's in form? And I think that's where this tournament is going to be really good for anybody. I think that's what Australia do really well. They pick the informed player. So they had Erin Burns, who was in form at 31, and picked her to make a debut. So I think it doesn't matter how old you are now, that you can. It's your chance if you do everything right, give it a go.
It's an interesting point, and when you ask that question, it's probably one I've not even considered. But there are still players out there, then clearly, who've not had the opportunity or made the most of it yet, but may still prove good enough.
Georgia Adams scored the most runs, and she's in her mid-20s, but scored runs for fun. So I think, like I say, there are a lot of good youngsters out there, but I think people shouldn't be wrote off just because of her age. And I think that's why Northern Diamonds really helped last year, that we've got such a good balance of youngsters, middle age, and a few grandmas. But I think that's other teams have realised that they need to have some experience in there. Otherwise, when times get tough, you're going to lose out, I think. So it'll be interesting, the teams coming forward this year.
Okay, just a couple more questions to finish with then, Jenny, because I'm conscious we've taken up quite a lot of your time, which I'm very grateful for you for giving us that. If we revisited this podcast in, say, a decade, what further changes would you like to have seen implemented in the women's game in this country in particular, but it could be worldwide?
I'd like to say more Test cricket, and hopefully if there's more full contracted people, then you could probably play more 2 or 3 day cricket, which then allows people to get used to. That was one thing that was really hard, that All England girls wanted to play tests, but we never got any practice. So you've gone from bowling 10 overs a day to might be bowling 25 overs back to back, and your bodies aren't used to it. So I would love to say or see more Test cricket, but actually being played in the right way as well.
Is that down to what the different nations and their enthusiasm for playing it, or otherwise?
A little bit, and I think funding. So if you put a test match on to the end of a tour, it adds another 7 to 10 days, and some countries just don't have that the money really. Whereas Australia will, and I think New Zealand, a lot of the girls want to play, but again they didn't have the funding. So. And
you mentioned pitches earlier on as well. Would that come into it? Because if you're going to play, whatever it might be, 3-day test, 5-day test, 4-day test, I don't know, you're going to need something that's going to wear. Yeah, and I guess it's frustrating probably watching the last Ashes Test match when we played on a bit of a used track. It's like, come on, we're not going to get a result on that. I don't think. I mean, the spinners, we don't rag it, return it, but it's not going to change a game too much. I think you either need a green seaman, hope you win the toss, but you need a bit of a fresh wicket and just trust that the two teams are good enough to get a result, really. You come to the end of nearly the first podcast that's never asked you about the bowling action thing, but I think everybody's done that already in the past, so I'm not going to bother. I think we know all about that. Well, I have actually. I've been trying to change a few things. I bowled the other day with Beth Langston. I've bowled previously through Christmas, and she hasn't bowled since September, and she rocked up, and her first bowl it came out as 62 miles an hour, and I was like, okay, right, I'm nowhere near that, but it's only a little speed gun. I ran in and I felt really good, and it came up as 12. I was like, please tell me that's broken. I was like, what is going on? And the coach says, no, I'll make you quicker. I was like, yeah, I hope I'm quicker than 12 miles an hour come the season, but yeah, you're going to have to go from 7 degrees to about 9 to achieve that then, maybe. Oh, that's the thing, I'm not even close. It's just, it makes me laugh nowadays, so I'm just like, whatever. Well, yeah, I'm sure you've got sick of all that and just got used to getting your head around it over the years. But finally, let's think about the future. We know what you're doing in the immediate future, 2021, Northern Diamonds. You've got a former England coach who'd be quite happy to take you to the Northwest Thunder and play there and mentor his younger players and coach them eventually. So he was telling me on the phone this morning. So there's an offer for you live on the podcast right now. I'm only 10%. I turned it down already, don't worry. I turned it down for Northern Diamonds. Right. Yorkshire. I can't go to the border, can I? No, well, I would. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't be an advocate of that, but he's already, jumped ship, hasn't he, as a Yorkshireman and gone over and coached them. And I know that you've obviously enjoyed your time down under before. Is that really where you're hankering to go once maybe this coming season's out of the way and you can finally say, I have finished?
Well, to be fair, I was out over there doing a work experience with Cricket New South Wales last winter, which was really interesting because they had quite a few Australian players and things, and we just finished the Ashes. So then I'm like gone from there as an England player to sort of coaching and things, and it was really interesting out there. And I really only came back because of COVID, and I'm glad I did because you want to be around your family, but my long-term goal, which has been like since I was probably 6 years old, is to live in Australia. So yeah, that's still in the plans, but hopefully I can get through this season and then just, like you say, hang up. But I don't think my team out there will let me retire either. So
And you'll have to say yes, won't you? Because you being you.
Yeah, but I can play as a batter over there. They don't mind. They don't make me bowl, whereas Danny Hazel makes me bowl here.
We'll have to have words with her. Jenny, look, it's been an absolute pleasure to go back to your career and get your opinions on so much involvement in the women's game. I can honestly say that you've won the Sporting Lives Podcast Award for the best backdrop that we've ever had so far, with that wonderful picture behind. So thank you so much for your time. Hopefully I'll catch up with you at some point in person around the scene during this coming season. We wish you all the best for the future. Once again, thanks very much.
No, thank you. And they weren't lying that I can talk, were they?
Well, I think I can do that with the best of them. So no, I think you've been absolutely spot on. So once again, thanks.
No, thank you.
So there we have it. Fab to hear from England women's cricketing legend Jenny Gunn. Loads more to come on Sporting Lives. You can have your say by sending me an email. jonathandoidge@hotmail.com is that email address, with suggestions perhaps of who you'd like to see up here on the pod in the future. We've got plenty of cricket on there from the past as well. Current ECB cricket liaison officer and former rugby league referee Stuart Cummins. Anthony McGrath, of course, Yorkshire and England of the past, and very successful head coach with Essex at the moment. He is up there, as well as the first black cricketer to play for England back at the turn of the 80s. Of course, former Middlesex legend Roland Butcher. Loads of other sports too, rugby league, horse racing, football, and many more. So please do subscribe both on YouTube and on Podbean. Thanks once again for your support, and we'll see you next time on Sporting Lives.